Good morning, good Monday morning, good Labor Day morning. Welcome to the I Stand Correct podcast, the algorithm show, smoke break, or coffee break, the show that never really broke out, so it has multiple names. Someone else, I think it was the delightful Abby, who I hope joins us. Someone referred to it as coffee break the other day, and it's just like, and we were talking about how she never normally watches, and how when she dropped in last week, I acted more annoyed than pleased. And it's just like, well, you refer to the show as Coffee Break, and it's like it hasn't been called that in like 6 months. Who's right or who's wrong? I'm wrong. I'm kind of wrong to change the name of the show. It should never be changed. That's not good for branding. It's like, what if McDonald's called itself Steve's all of a sudden? Like that wouldn't work. Or like, what if, what if Cracker Barrel got rid of the guy? You know what I mean? I just my poor decisions have low stakes, so that's why no one could tell. Looks like there's a lot of people here, which makes me nervous because this show is meant to be played to 5 people or less. So let's take a look at who's in the chats. Will Cray was here at one point. I bet he's off to better things, saying, I am pain. Yes. Aren't you older than 30 now? Silamander says, hell yeah, I'm off work today, so I could be here for this one. Or if she's off work early. Joni is off work. That's good. My sister's here. We were just talking. Michael Hendricks says, delightful Abby. Yes, Abby's so delightful. She's probably watching right now. And she's like, is he being sarcastic? The answer to that question is not important. Tyler's here. Michael Hendricks is here. Texas time is here. Texas, I got a question for you. I think I know everyone here. I know all of their real name. Am I allowed to know your real name, Texas time? Because you've become kind of a super fan. Anybody that's watching this show is a super fan, by the way, because this show is fairly pointless. It was meant to be originally. It was the bonus material that you get for being a Com Center member, and then the algorithm kind of determined that those two things should not be on the same channel. But Texas time, do I get to know your name? That would be nice if I did, just because we're a little bit more personal here. You don't have to tell me. You could tell me that you were literally born Texas time, and I will believe you. So that's fine. Fuck branding. Yes, well, I don't know, Amanda. It's all gonna work for some reason. You're being inclusive to the smokers, so just me. Yes, well, we're smoke break. That's fine. You don't need to go. Everyone can be here. It's all fine. Michael Hendricks is here. Carrie? Carrie. I think I have my mom has a cousin named Carrie. Or like Carrie Fisher, so it's a female's name. So I never knew that about you. Never knew you were even female. That's nice. Elijah's here, our wisest member. So good morning. A good eclectic bunch of people. My real name is Mike, or is it? Drew has weird theories about you. He often calls me in the middle of the night and he's like, his name's Oscar. He's a welder from Peoria. And I'm just like, can I please sleep? I don't need to know. Nowadays it should just be vape break. No, Joni, you've missed all the good memes in which I trash people for vaping. I actually had a long discussion with someone who follows the prison show that I do. Her name's Dana, but she constantly wants to smoke. She's not really a smoker. And we talked about how the perception of vaping has changed over the last 10, 15, 20 years or however long it's existed. But I remember I live in a pretty free state. We don't have a lot of laws here. And I remember a time when you could still smoke in a bar and a bowling alley. It wasn't that long ago. And then they started passing all these bans everywhere. And then all of a sudden you can't smoke at all these places where you want to be. And so e-cigs came out as sort of this way of, first of all, getting around the law, which, can you imagine anyone who invested in these things? Oh, yeah, we got around it. Well, they're just going to pass a law next session that outlaws e-cigs, so good luck. But it was originally, it was an expression of freedom. Like, you're still free to smoke, and you could still, but you don't have to annoy people because it's this vapor or whatever. But somehow it became this, like, absolutely, kind of like douchey thing to do. Like, smokers were annoying, but like nobody likes the vapors. Like, the smokers don't like them, the non-smokers don't like them. So we just created a class of people that are respected by no one. It doesn't help that it's an utterly manless thing to do. And I don't mean this in a mean way, but like, when I was working with adults with disabilities, they have their freedoms, especially once they're of a certain age. And I was working with one of them, and he was vaping, and all the vapes, I guess, have different flavors, which I didn't know just because I had never looked into it. But we're in the van and he's vaping, and his vape flavor is cotton candy, and I'm like, that's the most childish flavor that you could ever have. Like, of course nobody likes vapors. Like, if you're making it cotton candy flavored, it seems like you're trying to entice a child into the back of a van with something like that. But I don't know, that's also just sort of douchey, so I don't know. I just wish you would commit all the way. Just smoke. Smoke or don't smoke. My name is a man spelling, but my mom was a rebel. Well, I mean, you could spell things however you want to spell them. Carrie, if I can refer to you as that. I'm hoping to be more personable with you. I want you to feel like I know you a little bit and you're welcome and you belong. And over time, you will tell me things like, I know that Tyler is married to a woman who frequently aggravates him, but he spoils them and his daughters as much as he can. And I think he does work for people who build tall things with roofs. And he's Canadian. So I know these things about him. Funny story, our friend's mom is Mike. Her parents wanted a boy and weren't any about it. That is a funny story. I mean, I don't understand it at all, but it is a fun story. Not allowed to have fun anymore. Did they ban that in Minnesota, I'm guessing? Is that what happened? The flavors are weird. Thank you, John. You're welcome. It's all crazy flavors. I have a strawberry cupcake one, a watermelon kiwi one. So Salamander's a vapor, which is strange. You know why? Because I think of you as probably the toughest person here. So to me, it seems like you're someone who, like, your boss calls, breaks over, and you take out your cigarette, you put it out on your tongue while making eye contact with your boss. This is a way of like being semi-threatening. That's how I picture you, Amanda. So the the idea that you're like, oh, you've got this like strawberry kiwi thing makes you seem much less tough. So imagine this little old lady named Mike. Oh, the story keeps going. Wouldn't be a good wife if she didn't get on my nerves. Yes, that's probably true. Minnesota does suck. Yeah, I'm hearing all kinds of things. A friend of mine is an accountant for a major hotel chain. He's not an accountant, he's a controller, which is like a super accountant, I guess. But he told me yesterday that they've closed all but 3 hotels in the state of Minnesota because of their insane labor laws. So Minnesota shutting down, getting worse. I could really rail against Minnesota, but this show's really not for that, I guess. I should create a new show in which I just insult Minnesota. I am the toughest one here, she says, with no hint of irony at all. I work alone, so the vape for emergency nicotine actually smokes stay in the car. Okay. All right. Please do that, John, just about how Minnesota sucks. How many more channels can I do? You know what the fun thing is, Texas time? And you never knew this, but until early last year, I was actually doing like 5 shows at once. I did a true crime show, not with Drew, but we just covered like classic cases of true crime. I did a sports show, and it was the worst sports show that has ever been made. It was mostly just to fill a block of time. It was created mostly for reasons of obligation. I did the prison show, which I still do, but it seems like that's probably going to be wrapping up or winding down or going less often because our schedules don't match anymore. Comm Center on Thursday nights. I did a show after every Comm Center called the After Show. If you ever watch Comm Center, you'll see Tyler. He'll always demand, "Is there an after show?" Well, I used to get on Comm Center and I would go live for like 3 hours and just talk about nothing. It was a lot like this, only without the memes. And I would do that for 3 hours. And then I produced a show on Friday called Failure to Stop, which I pretty much don't produce anymore. And then there was a show called Night Shift TSI, which I also had to do things with on Sunday. And I wasn't on that show. And then there was a show called Uncuffed, which I also had to produce, which I don't produce anymore. And then there was like a Wednesday news show, which I'm not heavily involved in anymore. And I almost died doing all that. But I mean, I wasn't on all of those, but I mean, it was a lot of podcasting stuff. John has some limit. So I started this show, the Monday morning show, and as further bonus content, and it was because on Monday mornings I don't really have anything going on. And the first show I did was just to surprise people as sort of a thank you for subscribing. Like, oh yeah, you know, this is kind of a benefit of membership is we can just hang out whenever you want. I'll just jump on whenever I feel like it. But it's become more of a tradition and somewhat more popular, and I don't know why. Some people tell me that they really like this show. I don't get it. I missed the sports show you did. Oh, you don't. Nobody watched that. The numbers were pathetic. The downloads. We would get like one download, and I'm pretty sure that's within the margin of error. No one was watching that. The true crime show was actually funny. That was a good one. You and Keith were a good team, though. Well, you know, Keith and I might do something at some point together. He's still like the resident fireman on Comm Center. If we ever do a show about firefighting ever again, which it looks like we won't, just because it's not what's popular. But he'll come back around. We're doing the after show for this show. Oh, so when I'm done with this, I'll do an after show. No, I'll probably go for a walk. The gym's closed today, but I can still go outside and walk. I haven't eaten since Saturday night, except for an avocado. But I'm in full ketosis, so I'm doing pretty good. John doesn't want to podcast anymore. Yeah, I clearly don't want to do that. I'm scary enough that folks know I'm not the one to try, but if you're my people, I'm the most loving ever. Yes, no one's questioning this. You're definitely the one who's most likely here to be carrying a knife. Even if hard time is once a month, please don't stop making them. I'll keep that in mind. The problem is that I used to be I'm still free on Friday mornings, but Jake isn't free till like 5 or 6 o'clock on Friday nights, and like I want to go do my life. I'm not going to hang around all day in my small town not doing anything on a Friday. If I want to go do it, you know, I'm going to go to town and go shopping, go hang out, go to do an event, go to dinner. I'm not going to like stay at home till 6 and then record this thing, and then spend another, you know, hour recording it and then putting it online and then leaving the house at 8 and then driving to town at 9 o'clock at night. That's not good for my work-life balance. I'm just hanging around and waiting all day to podcast. And we've talked about other times doing it. There really doesn't seem to be any. So we'll see. I'm not sure what you love so much about Hard Time. Because is it more interesting than this show? I don't really get what the difference is, I guess. Morning, friends. Hello, Lauren. I miss Keith. I never catch their shows because there's not a scheduled time. I fall behind. Yeah, that kind of bugs me. And that was one thing that I could never, you know, when he wanted me to contribute more regularly to that. I'm like, well, you always go live at a time where I'm at work. Or on some day that I don't even know you're going to do it. Congrats on the artwork in the book. What are you talking about? There's no artwork in the book. There's nothing to congratulate me for. Sort of the biggest, I don't mean this in a mean way, but it's like I spent a long time doing that and it didn't go anywhere. So what would you call that? I don't want to call it a waste of time. I suppose it opened up a lot of opportunities for me that are the reason why I'm here today. So overall, it was fine. It's just I definitely don't have any artwork in any book. I was one of the 2 people who watched the sports show. You were, Will. Thank you. Unfortunately, 2 people is really not enough for me. So you're my type of people. I'll give you a shirt and shoes till you cross me. You guys are kind of weirdly made for each other. Just keep that in mind if things don't work out. I don't know. Happy Hogwarts Day. Oh, I don't get that. John, that's not nice. He's a fire person. Yeah, I don't mean to insult Keith or firemen or anything else. What's this reference to 9mm that I'm missing out on now? Exactly. I give all the room in the world. If you push me, I go scorched earth and clean souls. Okay. No one is questioning you. Everything's fine. All right. Taliu, good morning. Good. I'm glad that you're here. We're still only at 8, which means someone else left. With Lauren and Taliu joining now, that means other people have left since then. But that's fine. It's a day where all the wizard kids go to Hogwarts. You know, I just never got into that at all. It just seemed like a crappy version of X-Men, and Harry doesn't even do that much magic. I had a review of the movie Harry Potter, which I hadn't even seen at that point, published in a local newspaper, and it was rather scathing. Hard Time is equally interesting to this show. I feel like that's kind of a put down because I feel like Hard Time kind of ran out of energy. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to try harder. Maybe it was just the last episode. I normally Jake programs it, but the last episode was one that I programmed, and maybe that's why I didn't like it. Was because it was really something that I did. I like listening to you and Jake talking. Tansy's book didn't get paid for. Tansy got paid. You're an artist? No, I'm a 911 dispatcher. And I guess a part-time podcaster because I had to claim that on my taxes last year. I like the vibe between John and Jake and dudes that I hang with. Well, I appreciate that you like the vibe. I mean, that's something you really can't replicate. Personally, I found I come to resent a couple of my fellow podcasters, the lack of commitment and effort giving. Taliu, I know you just missed it, but I just listed 9 shows that I was on all at the same time, either producing or starring in. Did I impress you with my effort? A lot of the shows that I was on are gone. Like you can't find an episode of the true crime show that I was on. That's all taken down, but that was a show I was fully committed to and put a lot of work into every week. What else? The sports show was fun, and I had to set up a lot of graphics for it every week. Okay, never mind. You're probably referring to the fact that before I was ever a podcaster guy at all, I was commissioned by Eric Tansey to illustrate his book. And then I did 70 illustrations for that, which was a lot. And then I think about 40 of them got picked to be in the book. And then probably one of the first things I said to him was, well, you know, Simon & Schuster probably has their own people for this, or whoever the publisher was going to be at that time. And he said, you know, no, don't worry about it or something. But then by the time the book was becoming more realistic, I came up in conversation less and less and less. And then a draft came out in which there were no pictures in it. And so am I an artist? I guess I like to draw, but it never paid the bills. Quite literally. Good weekend for NCAA football upsets. I watched some football. I watched Clemson and LSU, but I don't think I saw the end of the game. Yeah, I'm just glad football's on. I had a dream about a funky fireman this morning. I think you're missing there's a confession show that I'm also not on. By the way, I've been going almost 21 minutes and haven't put up a single meme, so we need to get to it. The first one was good in my opinion. The first one what? Yeah. Oh, the first one, Harry Potter movie. They published that review. It was it was a paper at a small town. And I think it was on April Fool's Day. Jared is 100% an artist. It's just not his profession. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, you're complimenting me, so thank you. But I'm in love with watercolor, and I think about it every day. I was once told I was good at watercolor, but I didn't enjoy it at all. I think because like to have really good control over watercolor, you have to be really good and really patient, and I didn't have the patience for that. Thank you very much, Salamander. What happened to Kendra, the girl from True Crime? Was that her name? What happened to her is that she we also had scheduling problems. We couldn't get together and do the show. I remember one time it was like 1 a.m. we were recording the show. And we had scheduling problems, and we would work really hard to make sure a show got out every week, and it was really tough because our schedules were not working. And then to be honest, I got a little pissed off because I would be staying up till in the middle of the night recording this thing, and then we would put it on the air, and then people would just be like, why aren't they live? This sucks. They're not live. And I'm just like, well, fine. Sorry that we can't always be live all the time. That frustrated me, to be honest. Our ratings were not very good. The thing is me and Kendra were kind of like the 5th generation of that show. Like it was Mike and Eric doing, night shift, and then Tansy and Andrea Up Late did the show for a while, and that was popular. But then by the time Andrea left and Kendra came around, and Kendra didn't really want to do the show with Eric. She liked doing it with me, and then it was me. And then it's just like, we were diluted from what the original audience was. We never had a big audience. And then she wanted to get back into policing, so she kind of had to curtail the podcasting career. And then life happened, and she's doing everything that she wants to do. So that's where that's at right now, and that's fine. I don't really have time on my schedule to do a true crime podcast anymore. Why did it get taken down? Why didn't they leave them up? You say they like it wasn't me. I'm the one that took them down. The reason for that is that when you understand how a YouTube algorithm works, you realize that for a channel to be successful, it can't have all these other things on it. And so since those videos didn't have a lot of views, taking them down was not a problem. With the book coming out, people needed to see that Failure to Stop was an Eric Tansey endeavor, and that it didn't have all this other stuff on it. So any video that doesn't have Eric Tansey on it is pretty much gone. So all the night shift episodes are still there. All the uncuffed episodes are still there. All the Wednesday shows, but anything that's just me and Drew or me and Kendra, like those are all gone. And it's to help the algorithm and help that channel succeed. They weren't still getting views though, so it's not whenever a video gets a view, you can see that, and they weren't getting views, so I don't think it was that big of a deal. Yeah, so looking through my old art school stuff to see if I have watercolor stuff. Hey Foxy, good to see you. We're still only at 9, which means many people have left, so someone will jump in, and we're not substantially ahead. You in a rush, John? I guess not. I don't have anywhere to be with the gym closed. We'll go long today, I guess. Most artists cannot make a living as an artist and must either work either boring and or mindless jobs to live. John's job is not mindless, though. Thank you for that quick save at the end. You did imply it was boring, though. Sometimes it can be. You cannot make a living as an artist when you never get paid. That's true. Tyler John hates us once he realizes I'm here. You always hate that. You always say the word hate. You always say that. I'm never sure why. We're going to talk about the Donna Adelson video that we did on Saturday night. By the way, we had personal best records. At one point, we had 375 people watching. That was a personal best by like 100% because the previous record was like 2 days before that where we had 150 people watching live, and I'm like, wow, 150 people on Thursday night. And then on Saturday we had like 375. I mean, the video kind of capped out and wasn't it's no longer getting watchers, but I mean, for a single video, it got like maybe 4.5, 5,000 views. I haven't checked it this morning. But to be watched by 375 people live, those are big numbers. That was huge for us. It was very, very, very good night. It is okay that I'm not being paid to be an artist. I don't think that I wouldn't enjoy it anymore if I had to do it for a living. Case in point, part of the reason why I enjoyed doing this podcast, the one I'm on right now, the reason I can do it and not feel like it's adding to my workload is because I don't care if this podcast succeeds. I don't care if it succeeds, this Monday morning show. Everything that I do for Thursday night, every day of the week, I'm doing something for it. It's a lot of work. Not to complain, but it is a lot. But on this, I don't care if anyone watches or doesn't watch, and if no one comes, then I'll just have Monday morning free. And if I do it, then I'll have a good time doing it. I enjoyed your banter with Kendra. I think that was the main thing that we had going for us. You know what's interesting, Anthony, is that I have no idea who you are, but apparently you have been a long-time watcher of me, if you remember me and Kendra, because that show ended probably a year and a half ago. I thought our banter was pretty good. We had some pretty good shticks, and I could make her laugh. And whenever I could make her laugh, I guess it was genuine. And I think that those were some really good podcasting moments, because a good podcast is one that highlights friendship. And I think that one did that. I do believe they didn't have a lot of views. I love those true crime ones you guys did, Andrea, you, Kendra. Well, didn't have a lot of views because me and Kendra were nobodies in the podcasting world. I still am. And because we weren't on our own channel, YouTube was showing us to Eric Tanzi's fans. And if Eric Tanzi's fans didn't like me and Kendra, then we weren't getting shown to many people. So we didn't understand that at the time. But that wasn't a good strategy. There was a disconnect at some point, because when Failure to Stop started on a Friday, and then it was so popular, like, well, we should do more shows per week because that's going to boost our views. So they said, we'll do a show on Tuesday. That's a good idea. But then when Mike leaves the show, and then when Eric doesn't want to do Tuesdays anymore, and then it's me and Kendra doing it, now it doesn't make sense anymore. But somehow that idea, never, there should have been like a tripwire there or something. So like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Please tell me about the book. Anyone? Book just came out. It's called Pig Latin. It's by Eric Tanzi. He's the guy who pretty much recruited me to become a podcaster. He gave me a shot. He literally is the guy that put me and Drew together. He runs a show called Failure to Stop. And he wrote a book about being a police officer. And I guess we became friends on Instagram because I followed his show. And then one day I posted a picture that I drew, and then he really liked it. And then he reached out to me and said, would you consider doing this? And we talked about it on the phone. And then we were just shooting the shit a little bit, and I told him I was a 911 dispatcher. Well, then when Drew came to the network to podcast with Eric, Drew wanted to do a show about 911 because it was his passion, and it still is, as you can tell. And then Eric said, well, if you want to do a show, why don't you do it with this guy? And kind of gave him my name. And then we began talking. And then that, as they say, that's history. So it was because of the book that I know Eric at all. And it was because of knowing Eric at all that I know Drew. And so in some ways, maybe a post that I did on Instagram led to all of this. There you go. So now you know the story of me, where it came from, and the things that I've done. That's me in the last 3 years. Very happy for you and Drew. Glad you guys are getting more recognition. It's about power, not about recognition. I don't want recognition. I don't even want power. I want money. I want the show to finally start paying me. It's been a long time. It's time to start. Now that we have 10,000 subscribers, now we can have ad reads of some kind. I know that's something we're going to kind of talk about here before too long, possibly at the end of the Donna Adelson thing. Talk about having some sponsors. Thank you for saying that. John and Kendra had been married and then divorced. Judge forced them to podcast together. It was some sort of alternative punishment. Yeah, that was the bit on the show, is that we had been formally married, and then as a condition of our divorce, we had to podcast together. And then if we ever stopped podcasting together, we would be forced to get remarried. And so in the last episode ended, I don't think anyone noticed this, but the last episode ended with me asking her to marry me, and then the show just ended before she agreed, or before she said anything. It was very bizarre, and a lot of people were actually mad about it. And you're like, she's actually married, right? And I'm just like, yes, I do know that. It is a joke. The fact that you think that we're literally that a judge would compel us to podcast as a condition of divorce shows that you don't know how divorces work and that you don't know what jokes are. But anyway, podcasting was taken over by Fan. Is that what happens with me? As I was just a fan, now I'm a podcaster. That seems like a long story that's not meant for me to read. Podcasting was taken over by famous people when they saw money and promotion opportunities. I like the amateur podcast better. Thank you. Is that what I am? John and Eric talked about it on the phone. Eric probably kept talking over him and not listening. No. Eric kind of has a rap for not being a good listener, but there are times when he can do that. It all kind of depends on what's in front of him. I've always listened to Failure to Stop and Com Center on audio since the beginning. Only recently have I been making attempts to watch the lives on YouTube. Let me ask you this, Anthony. Do I disappoint you physically? Sometimes you could listen to somebody and then you see them for the first time and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought they looked like. I didn't used to watch YouTube either. I only listened to Mike and Eric on Spotify. And I remember when I started watching on YouTube, I thought it was strange. I like Eric for what he portray as him being a father. He is a father. That's not a rumor or anything. I've seen him with his kids, in real life. Not being critical of Eric, and you're a fan. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Who's being critical of Eric? Oh, well, Eric would admit to being kind of scatterbrained. I don't think that's a put down or anything. I would never put down Eric, just so that's clear. I talked to him last week, so I didn't like the ego tirade after Andrea left. There was a lot of hurt feelings there. You got to remember they were friends for a long time, and there was a lot going on behind the scenes that should never have been put out in front of other people. He tried to explain it the best he could because a lot of people kept asking him. I think part of that was frustration, just that people kept asking him. He kept explaining it and people kept asking him. So he finally just had to be like, fuck it, I'll do a whole episode in which I just talk about this, because people, you know, people aren't good listeners either. Like, he would do an episode about something and he would take 5 minutes and mention this, and then if no one noticed it, then no one noticed it. But anyway, Andrea's doing her show, which she loves doing, and Eric's doing his show, which he loves doing. So everyone can still choose everything they want. And I guess I don't really want to relitigate all that. I've been loving all the extra stuff in the latest Com Center episodes. You could tell all the work that's gone into them. Yes, you can tell that because when we go live, there's a lot more mistakes and there's far fewer things going on. The last couple episodes we did it Thursday and Saturday night were live, and it's just like, if this was a polished show, that would never be in there. But thank you for saying that. By amateur podcasting, I mean a person who is, you don't want to watch someone who's like, there's a podcast I listen to, is the David Duchovny podcast. It was just like, why does he have a podcast? He's a television and film actor. Yeah. Stay for the disappointment. Thank you, Jenny. Good morning. All right. Now that it's been 36 minutes and I've relitigated the past 3 years of my life, and by the way, thank you to Andrea as well, because there were many episodes. I think the first time I ever got to do anything other than Com Center was with her. She asked me to do it. So I hate how little of the Com Center live shows I've been able to make lately, but life's just gotten busy lately. Hey, man, that's okay. You're allowed to live your life. I'll allow it. Let's go to the memes. I had an ex-friend, fellow podcaster, came out of retirement just to tell the world we were no longer friends in veiled terms. Boy, that's mean. Yeah, keep your private stuff private. That's what I always say. And keep your podcasting genuine. You have to connect with your audience. That's why when Texas Time was here earlier, maybe she's still here, but that's why I tried to get to know her name. You have to be personable, and you have to connect with people on a real level. Just as a reminder, we have merch. Buy my swag. Pay me. All right, let's do the memes. Everyone's sick of hearing about my life, especially since it's the part that's over. Texas Time is still here, by the way. Yes, I will buy your stuff, Carrie says. If you don't want to, then don't. I hope you don't ever feel like you're obligated. I hope I don't ever push that hard. I only said that as a joke because I was sitting here talking about, like, you have to be genuine and real. And then I very cynically say, buy my stuff. Guys, right now, Chick-fil-A has a pretzel bun sandwich. Very excellent. Go out there and get it while you can. I tried to get it. I went to Chick-fil-A and they were out. They were literally sold out. And then I went on a diet, so I don't get one. But let's spend $8. I'm going to go with this spicy chicken sandwich, so I still have 5 left. I'm going to get the nugs. So that's $5, and now I have $3 left. I'll get the fruit cup and the waffle fries. I came away with 4 things. That's not a bad meal, I don't think. The fruit cup's actually surprisingly good. I'll put the fruit cup in the fridge for later, though. That's a lot to eat. Salamander was making nachos. So what do you guys think? Nothing? Nobody cares about this club? Nuggets, waffle fries? Yeah. All right. Next meme. And that meme is just supposed to get people chatting, but we were already chatting. How to save money and have fun as an adult. It's going to take a lot of energy for me to not go back upstairs and do this when I'm done. Just go back and lay down. It's a really nice day. It's cloudy. It's a little humid, but it's cool. And I don't have anything to do because the gym's closed and the Don Adelson trial is not going on, so I don't need to watch that. suppose I could go outside and trim branches, but I don't want to. I'm selecting the next meme and it's not working. Uh-oh. I can't turn off this meme. I don't know if it's showing you the next meme or not now. I think the system is broken. I'll be right back. Oh, there we go. We're finally there. It wasn't letting me switch memes. I actually deleted the meme I was showing before so that it couldn't show it. Sorry for that technological problem. I love spending time alone, but this is me alone. Why do you think I wear this hat? Because without the hat, I will look exactly like that. That's me. I'm just hanging around the house looking sad, feeling sad, and I look disheveled. Here's a picture of a subway, and the clock says Monday, August 0 question mark 2044. Sometimes on the subway we time travel. How would you feel if you got off the subway and then when you got there, when you got off the subway, all of a sudden everything was different? You had traveled through time. It's the question mark that makes it exquisite. The future is not an exact science. Yes, we're not exactly sure what day it is, but fuck if it isn't Monday. We don't know what day it is. We just know it's Monday. Every time I see the words back to school, a small part of my brain worries that it's for me and then I have to go back to school for some reason. I literally woke up this morning from a recurring dream in which I'm going to high school and it's the end of my senior year and I've been 18 this entire time and I haven't been driving to school. And that's kind of exactly what happened. And I woke up this morning and I'm just like, why didn't I go get a driver's license? Like, I know why I couldn't get one when I was 16 because they required you to attend a state approved school. And there was obviously this kickback type thing going on. And I didn't get the most support from my parents about doing that because I would have to be enrolled in this special state authorized school and then be driven there on Saturday. And it was like this whole commitment. And even asking my parents for a favor is kind of like a problem in and of itself if you understood our family dynamic. But when I was 18, why didn't I just go down and get a friggin' driver's license? The Commonwealth couldn't deny me a driver's license when I was 18. I was an adult. As long as I could take and pass the test, I should have been able to get a driver's license. So why wasn't I driving? So I keep waking up from these dreams in which I can't reconcile my own past. And the back to school stuff always bothers me every year because back to school is also a very, very tough time in retail. I can remember working at Target and my section for the night would be the back to school section. And it would be my job to straighten things up back there and restock things. And it was a horrible time. This is me during the weekend, literally this past weekend. Just because the yard chores are kind of winding down, the grass doesn't have to be mowed so much. I did mow for over an hour, but I didn't have to do the entire yard just because not all of it's growing, just the parts in the shade, really, or the parts where the water is, or I don't know, some of it's not growing. But I woke up on both of these days at like 10. I'm like, well, I don't have anywhere to go or anywhere to be. So I got up and then got back in and then just laid back down. And I think it was Saturday, but I got up and did some work and then I was like, I'm going to take a break from working. I just went back and laid down. And I think at one point I actually napped. It was amazing. Hey, sorry, I was weird last night. I don't know what's wrong with me, and I never have, and I never will. I like these boilerplate style apologies because they just kind of cover all your bases. I don't know what's wrong with me, and I never have, and I never will. Did Salamander leave? Oh. No, she's just going to have a good time. I still have nightmares about high school and college. I still have a recurring nightmare in which it is spring. And I realized that I haven't been taking English class this entire time. And it's not just an English class, but it's Miss McCoig's English class that I actually had junior year. And I really liked that class. And for whatever reason, I wasn't going. And it was like I forgot to go all year, or like I had been skipping class all year. I shouldn't be having these dreams at age 41. May not be given anything to go back in high school for a few days, not because I was cool, but because I had no responsibilities. I would definitely, with the perspective I have now, I would do everything different. I don't know why I tried so hard in high school. I actually took extra classes, harder classes to get what's called an advanced studies diploma. That doesn't mean anything in the real world. I mean, I guess it's good that I know something about chemistry, but I didn't have to take it. I wouldn't enroll in college, so I wouldn't be planning on that. I would just be trying to like figure out some way to make money. I don't know. Adelsons need to make merchandise for their ongoing trials. Robert Adelson's face saying, "I want the Adelson trial," and all of the got was this T-shirt. That's not bad. Or where's my life sentence? The company Enron. Maybe you remember Enron, the one with the insider trading and the Ponzi scheme thing, and the whole company got destroyed. Somebody bought the Enron trademarks, and now all they do is make sarcastic merchandise about Enron. And their company that makes these shirts is literally called Enron. So it's like Enron was such a toxic company, like that somebody bought it for like $10, and now they just use the logo to just make sarcastic T-shirts. I love it. I wish I was that smart. I've been dreaming that I'm in high school and I'm a senior, and I have been going to 2 English classes and no math class, and I'm not going to graduate. I have the dream that I'm not going to graduate a lot too. What's weird about you is that your high school was called the Cave in reference to Plato's allegory, but you've never read it. They don't, for some reason, they did not require you to read that there. So your high school is weird. I was footloose and fancy free. Hadn't been in a relationship yet. I was not footloose and fancy free because I was worried that my sister's predictions for me of going through life completely unloved were going to come true. You know, in high school, you're sensitive. And when you're being told that no one will ever love you and that you're going to die alone, and that you're already worried about those things. Anyway, my dream was in the chat before he said this. Well, we came from the same background. We're tortured by the same early life, so not that amazing, is it? They have a Justice for Dan group. Maybe they can make it. Have I seen that before? Justice for Dan? I think Justice for Dan is a YouTube channel. I think a lot of people have those similar dreams. Sorry if I'm not bantering with you, John. I've been driving. You are allowed to drive. That's okay. What's everyone doing for Halloween? I have the day off. Halloween always falls on the same day as something else. I'm not going to say. It's the 4th of July. Yeah. Family trauma. I remember my sister telling me the exact same thing when I was the same age. Isn't that awful? It's like they just put their insecurities on you, you know, as a way to feel better about themselves. Let's get back to the memes, though. Absolutely nothing sexier than a man locking the fuck in for trivia night. I'm your trivia guy. I've only attended one trivia night, but I won. And the only reason we won was because of me. Because it was the final round, and for whatever reason, the situation was set up so that anyone could win it based off of the final question, which I think is a terrible way to set up a trivia night. And we brought it home. Well, thanks to me. Gosh, I play this one every week by mistake. I don't know how that one keeps getting in there. What else we got? Is that one showing? It's doing it again where it's not showing the memes. Hopefully it's showing them. The problem is that if it shows you the meme, but I can't see it, then I can't read it to you. I don't know what this meme says. Can you all see that meme? Is there a meme on the screen? More memes. Well, that would be nice. Any old time now, StreamYard. To your surprise, John, now you got tons of people that stalk you. I mean, love you and won't let you die alone. There it goes. Now the meme's up. Well, I'm not worried about love anymore. But not to risk pushing anyone or alienating anyone, but like, I don't really want to be stalked. And like, Silamander, this is you. But certain people, since the start of my podcasting career, have assumed that they actually have a real relationship with me or that they actually know me. And weirdly, that I know them back or that I'm interested in a romantic relationship with them. And so it's been sort of weird when that happens. Anthony always gets stuck working on Halloween. Anyway, more memes. Trivia with Jonathan is on my bucket list, but I want to be on the same team. Yeah, you don't want me to take you down. It's okay. I want you on my bowling team so that every time I bowl terribly, you could give me the meanest look in the world. Oh, I'm such a terrible bowler. I went bowling the other day. I haven't drank in about 2 years now. Can't wait to get shit-faced hammered. Oh, that's good. Glad that you have been sober for a while, but are not proud of that. We're not looking forward to continue the streak. He has more than one sister, and I don't recall him ever telling him they would never be loved. Yeah, it's because I would not speak to you face to face. It was my other sister that would tell me that. Christy is my real sister, yes, but she's not the one that told me that. The only person who would worry about me if I disappeared would be the Amazon delivery guy. I don't think that's true. You've made reference to family members before, so I don't think that's true. It's the same we say in the heat of the moment that don't mean. My older sister said those things and she meant them. We're not on speaking terms, so I'm sure she meant them. It's part of being an online personality, John. I wouldn't worry about it. Stay armed. We'd miss you, Joni. Yes, that's nice. Everyone be nice. Nice is relative. Can we get these memes working again? StreamYard? Okay. I think it's working again. I hate most people. There are times when I look at people and all I see is nothing worth liking. I want to earn enough money is enough money I can get away from everyone. Yeah, it's just me. Sorry, everybody, but I wish I had enough money to just get away from everyone. I might still podcast. If I was independently wealthy and I didn't have to go anywhere, I might do this. I might invest myself full time in it. Therapists are like, you don't owe anyone anything. Except me, you owe me $250 for this session. Screw off, crime. This is an early advertisement for the Batman movie. Now you can rent it on VHS. I am not happy about theft or killers at all. I'm very sure that the blue text was added later. I am not happy about theft or killers at all. It's a word from Batman. SROs returning back to school, accustoming to their new environment. Should I try to read this? I think if Butter Queen was here, she would be telling me not to. But Butter Queen hasn't been showing up lately, so skibbity Haktua, fellow Giga Chads. Mogging hard or hardly rizzing? This is like Donna Adelson when she was trying to write the script for Catherine Magbanwa. It was so easy to fool him. That foolish fool. Do babies grow up on their own or do we need to interact with them? I forgot to look at the group name and I was genuinely concerned. Do babies grow up on their own or do we need to interact with them? I am very depressed and in a really bad mood. Perhaps it will get better if I sit inside on a beautiful day and dwell compulsively. Makes a very good point. Sunday? I think it was Sunday, yesterday. But I decided to dig up my sad music playlist. And it's just music that I can really get into. Sometimes if I put on other music that's happier, I forget that I'm listening. I'm disinterested. I switch it to something else. And sad music really engages me and I actually feel things while listening to sad music. But I realize it makes me a lot worse. It's like I'm at the gym. I'm doing something positive, future-based, upbeat, something that's supposed to get my blood pumping. Most people go to the gym to feel better. Most people leave the gym with a high, like a runner's high. But I'm at the gym and I think to myself, everything that's ever happened to me in my life, when considered as a whole, like not individual things, but my whole life, it only makes sense insofar that my life is a mistake, that I should never have been born. Because, like, my mom and my dad, really horrible people. Should have never met. Both really horrible people on their own. My mom's a horrible person on her own. My dad's a horrible person on their own. Them coming together, really bad idea. And then they had 4 kids. Sorry, Christy, you're getting lumped in with this one. And I thought even since I was a very little boy, I can recall crying myself to sleep, praying to God, wishing that I had never been born, even from a very early age. This is kind of how stupidly sad my childhood was. It was almost Disney sad. I mean, I knew from even when I was very young that everything was sort of like terribly wrong in my life. But I'm at the gym and I'm 41 and I'm like having these terrible thoughts about my life, and that like the only way my life even makes sense is to understand the whole thing is a mistake. Like the only reason it makes sense is because none of it should have happened. I'm like, this is because of the sad music I'm listening to. And yeah, I don't turn it off though. I'll probably listen to it when I go for my walk. So get ready to be more sad. Oh, Jonathan, you wouldn't like me as a teammate. I'm too competitive. But it is a handicap game, so you sucking would average out. I literally tell one of the guys on our team he fucking sucks. Yeah, I don't really want to bowl with you. I barely broke 100. I think there was one game that I won where I only got like in the high 90s. But I also haven't bowled in like a year, and before that I hadn't bowled in like 5 years. So Jenny, you bowl like all the time and you're super good at it and you're just talented. And I'm like this big oaf that's top heavy. It's not fair that I'm 6'6" and I'm expected to bowl well. I am as far away from the bowling alley floor as anyone could possibly be. When people don't show up when they're normally here, I start investigating. Ask John. If you all need to take a break, I expect a DM, so I don't send a search party. When I don't show up, there was an episode I missed that I slept through like maybe a month ago, and it was only Faulkner that sent a message. I love my counselor, but that's hilarious. That is good. You owe me $250. My counselor had a stroke, so I'm kind of raw dog in life right now. I've told my counselor such things about my life, and she doesn't seem to really take note of those things. Maybe she's attacking them obliquely. Maybe she just knows, like, okay, so you mentioned that you think your life's a mistake and that you should never have been born. Let's unpack that. Maybe she's smart enough to know that, like, I'll just close up if I'm confronted that way. Words I never thought I would hear from Jonathan's mouth. I don't remember what I said. Oh, the Skibidi, yeah, Rizzing, yeah. You'll never hear them again. Don't worry. Fuck the world, I'm crawling into my hole. That's why I have to go outside today. To change my life, I have to actually make changes, even if they're super uncomfortable ones, like going outside. Well, I'm making changes to my diet and stuff, and some of that stuff's helping. I feel like I'm accomplishing things all the time. I attribute it to us living in a tiny farming town in a rural area. I don't think the kids around here are into this stuff. I don't think anyone that way around here talks that way. When I was most depressed, I was listening to a lot of Morrissey and the Smiths, very melancholic. Maybe I should put that on my playlist. I'm happy you're here, John. I can identify with aspects of you. You're open about things I'm not. Well, it's only because I've spent if I was feeling that way when I was 5 and now I'm 41, like I've had a lot of time to think about this. It wasn't like I became emotionally damaged at age 16 or 20 or 25. I kind of got in my reps early. You know how Jenny's a good bowler? She's probably been bowling since she was very young. That's how good I am at like talking about my being emotionally crippled. I mean, when Lumber went MIA for a long while. Yeah. Back to the memes, I guess. All my girls were planned. I don't know if I was planned or not planned. I'm not talking about whether or not my parents intentionally set out to have a baby. I'm talking about more cosmically that my parents should have been allowed to meet. It's hard to believe that that everything that my parents did together as a couple, including producing 4 children, was a part of God's plan. I often don't feel like I fit into that. The enemy of my enemy is a friend, unless they don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friend of mine. Please tell me you get it. Oh, shit. How did that one get in there? Just a little reminder that maybe it's not the guns that are the problem as much as the people up there in Minnesota, that state I hate, are probably going to try to use this situation to exploit confiscatory policies towards guns. Maybe there's another problem they should be looking into. I'm very depressed and in a really bad mood, but perhaps if I sit outside. I already did that one, everyone. They changed it so that the memes are no longer linear. They just kind of all sit in a cluster. One day after you turn 26, you just get really tired and sleepy, and then it doesn't stop for the rest of your life. Physically tired, yeah. Emotionally tired. Every time I self-reflect, I come to the conclusion, well thought out, that my head needs to be blown off. That's me at the gym, just reflecting on my life. I don't have a shotgun, guys. If all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you? 10-year-old me. No. Current me. Kind of. If all my friends are gone, what am I hanging around for? Oh no. Me reading that a serving of peanut butter is only 2 tablespoons. Yeah, guys, part of my diet is I've got to eat something that's high in fat, and I've got to get electrolytes, salt, and other things. And sometimes you'll read certain keto diet plans that say, you can have a little bit of peanut butter, but they don't realize that I'm not going to eat a minuscule amount of peanut butter. I've literally sat down and I've eaten a jar in one setting before, which I think is insane. I think it's probably like 10,000 calories. I love peanut butter. I love it a lot. Crunchy peanut butter, I can just sit there and eat the whole thing. So whenever I go on keto, which is what I'm on right now, it often will tell me, well, you can eat peanut butter. I'm just like, there's a dimension here that you're not aware of, is that I'm addicted to peanut butter. So I'm not going to eat that because I won't be able to stop. I could eat the whole thing. And sometimes in the holidays, I break bad. Like I think last year for the holidays, I decided to eat whatever I wanted, but I think I did it from November 1st through all the way to the end of the year. I think I gained like 30 pounds. It was really bad. But I was eating whatever I wanted. I think I ate a full jar of peanut butter while I was on Christmas vacation. Can't do that. That stuff sticks to you. Maybe someday transgender people in America will have as many rights as guns do. Well, I can't saw the barrel off my gun. Like you could saw the barrel off of yours. As soon as the bill goes to collections, I'm not your problem anymore. There's a guy in a suit whose job it is to ask you for $100. He went to law school to learn how to be a bum. You're a winner. You don't talk to that people like that anymore. Go buy a sandwich. So once it goes to collections, you don't have to care anymore. Just remember that. Bernie Sanders is kind of amazing. I know I'm getting on kind of a political bent here. There's not too many more of these. But Bernie Sanders is an idiot. He's not smart. He's not, it's one thing to agree or disagree with his politics, but he's not even smart. He doesn't know how to frame an argument well. If you want to make the case that like the only way we're going to advance our culture and to preserve Western society and to outpace the Chinese is to make education good and plentiful for all. Right now, we're spending so much money on special education for people who are intellectually disabled. We spend more money to help them just sort of become functional, and we're not spending money on our gifted students, and that's why we're not excelling as a country. There are stats for this. But Bernie Sanders, first of all, he's a big hypocrite when he talks about the environment. He's got all these planes, and then he, talks about how rich people are keeping the poor people down, but he has 3 houses. Just a huge hypocrite in pretty much every way. Not that other politicians on all other parts of the political spectrum are not, but particularly Bernie Sanders. Big joke. But getting an education isn't a crime. We need to cancel every penny of student debt. Well, the reason why we're recollecting the cost of student debt is not because it's a crime, but because a service has been rendered, you big idiot. But I'm not surprised he doesn't understand that services rendered costs money. Drinking lots of whiskey isn't a crime, but we need to cancel every penny of my bar tab. It's the same logic. Oh, what's this? Pulls dog food can out of coworker's bag that I planted earlier. Stacy, it's dog food. Look at this, everyone. My goodness. Should I do this? Not a friend of mine. One of my coworkers has tons of food at my job. Stuff that he never eats that just sits around. It's not even inside a cupboard. It's sitting on a table. Honestly, I get so embarrassed whenever we hire a new person or someone visits the office, like the fire department or the ambulance. And I'm like, please excuse this mess. I wish I could tell you it's temporary, but it's literally been here the entire 10 years that I've been here. He just leaves all his food out. He doesn't care. Should I start putting dog treats in there and stuff to just kind of maybe it's at some point he'll look through it and he'll pick up like, why do I have dog food here? But the thing is, he has dogs, so he'll just be like, oh, well, this meant should have gone home with me. I didn't mean to leave this here. He won't realize that like I'm teasing him. It's too subtle for him. When I was a kid, they played lame music for middle-aged white people in the supermarket. But this morning at Whole Foods, it's now all amazing bangers from my youth. Why did they change their strategy? I want to draw attention to the fact that at least 2 people have left. So at least 2 people could not stand to hear my opinion on Bernie Sanders, or they didn't like looking at that meme, or they didn't like hearing about people sawing off the barrels of their shotguns. Just pointing that out that 2 people saw that and didn't like being confronted with someone who thinks differently than them. So much for tolerance, right? You can't even bear to stand someone else's here to stand to hear someone else's ideas. Here's the thing. I'm ridiculously conservative. Sorry. But I'm way out there. But I don't normally get on here and like tell you all the insane conservative things that I think, because I'm way more conservative than any of you guys know. But I have to hear people who are progressives, liberals, Democrats, and Republicans that I don't agree with. I have to hear them all the time. I don't have a choice. It doesn't bother me. Why is it when some people hear really conservative things, it really bothers them? They don't have the stomach for it. I think that that's weak. I think if you can't stand to hear someone else's opinion, I think that that's weak. Yeah, you may not agree. I'm not exactly being mean-hearted, and I'm not exactly pounding into the ground here. I'm not exactly like thumping my fist on the table about anything. Now there's 8. People can't stand that. The show will end soon. Don't worry. I'll stop bothering you. Bro, you're whimsy. You forgot your fucking whimsy. Your solemn and somber attitude is scaring the host. Is that what's happening right now? I forgot my whimsy. And because I forgot my fucking whimsy, my solemn and somber attitude is scaring the host. What's weird is that some people say they like my rants, but I don't think that's true. About my life. You know it's bad when people start telling you that you are the strongest person they've ever met. I've had a few people tell me this before. Like some people, when I've told them a little bit about my life and growing up, some of the things you heard today, they start telling me that I'm really, really strong. I'm like, I didn't have a choice. What was I supposed to do? I endured it because what I went through wasn't strong enough to kill me. It didn't necessarily make me stronger. I'm just still alive. Down to 7 now. Are you always going to be my customer service guy? I would like to be, but no. We have thousands and it is random. But in spirit, I will be. 6 now. Will this be the final episode? I think this is the last show. If people are just bailing on me. That's how I want the show to end, by the way, is that I just finally say something I really mean and then people can't stand it anymore and then they give up on me. I want to be rejected. That's how I want the show to end. When I was a kid, they played lame music for middle-aged people. Oh, I already played that one. Oh. Is this how the podcast will end? People just block me. Yeah. Most of life ends this way. Not just marriages, but friendships too. My therapist is dropping me as a client, saying I deserved everything that ever happened to me. Is this good? You deserved it all, John. The thing is I'm the one that's frequently saying that I'm the one that deserves all these bad things happening to me. And then they say, well, of course you didn't deserve it. You know, everyone deserves to feel safe at home as a child. And then I'll explain to them why I didn't deserve that. They're not really ready for me to be pushing back. And the arguments are always logical. They're never emotional. It sucks that they got rid of every activity. It's only phone in bed now. They got rid of everything else. Just phone in bed. What are you doing? My nothing. I'm having my nothing time. I've had to say this lately. When someone calls me up and asks me what I'm doing, I'm saying nothing. And they're like, oh, do you want to do this? I'm like, no, I'm doing nothing. I just said that. I've long said that I'm very pro-littering. Very pro-littering. I don't believe in recycling for sure, but I'm definitely very pro-littering. I do this so your baby daddy can do this. Pick up the trash. Thing is, we don't do that with inmates here. We don't pick up trash here, so I don't litter here where I am. But back in Virginia, it was okay to litter. It's wild that we live in a world with constellations and capybaras and rolling fields of daffodils and hawks bursting into flight. And we're like, I'm so upset by what this stranger said online. It's not even the last meme of the day, but maybe I should make it the last meme of the day. I'm so upset by what he said. I see a lot of people who are arguing in chats, on Instagram, YouTube, advising each other to go touch grass, which I think it was okay to say that for about a minute, and now it's kind of lost all meaning, as most things have. Well, you were making 6 figures. I was making mentally ill people laugh online for free. Well, I think this is my official retirement from that. I wish I could tailor the order of my memes to my comments, but because I talked about keto earlier, people doing keto will put mayonnaise on bacon and sprinkle cheese over it and be like, I'm finally taking charge of my health. I think it was Jenny that was talking to me about keto the other day and how she doesn't believe in it. The thing is like, I got fat because I overeat. I like to eat. I like bacon, cheese, and mayonnaise. That's going to happen. But eating fat makes you feel full. And if you switch your metabolism so that you're using fat for fuel rather than glucose, then occasionally having a small bite of bacon with cheese and mayonnaise on it, as long as you're not eating too many calories, this can help you feel satiated, and it makes you less likely to break your diet. You told me yourself that a diet has to be sustainable. This is why keto is sustainable to me, because I can fast and feel like I'm being productive, but then when I'm going to break my fast, it's with something like this, and it feels like I'm not even dieting. So that's why that works for me. FBI agent, this in a small town where something's not right. I don't think this is I guess it's FBI agent breakfast, but it wouldn't be breakfast for anyone else. Just gonna put that one back up. There's 92 comments. Did a bunch of people rage leave the show? It'd be funny if they did. I kind of doubt it. Probably a bunch of people are like, yeah, I gotta go to work or I gotta go to bed. Let's go back to the last time I checked a comment, because 95 comments is a lot. Mm-hmm. This hurts. I started bowling in high school, Jenny. They made us bowl for gym class, and I actually became a pretty good bowler. And actually, when I used the same technique that I used when I was in high school, which is a bizarre bowling form, when I drop the ball, I'm only looking at the dots right at the foul line, by the way. I see other people like looking down lane. They look at the pins before they throw the ball. I don't even look down lane. I just look at the dots on the floor. I know those are there to help you, but I don't even look down lane. Safety dance. Peanut butter is my downfall. Same here. I don't prescribe to recommend mounts. Yeah, it's impossible, right? But it's a lot of calories. I can eat anything. I can eat a whole jar of Nutella. So can I. Yeah, I like Nutella too. Bought crunchy peanut butter for the first time in a long time because John talked about it. Did you buy it just now? If you get the natural peanut butter, it slows you down because it's so sticky. I get the Jif natural peanut butter. When I make a peanut butter sandwich, thin layer of peanut butter on each piece of bread, then 1 inch thick layer of peanut butter. What are you saying? You saying that you spread the peanut butter on both pieces of bread, and then between that you put more peanut butter? Very confused. Food is a bitch. Doing high protein and low calorie. Kind of a carnivore diet there, maybe is what you're talking about. Husband wants to lose weight, so gonna make half turkey, half beef burgers. Yeah, you could do that. I would recommend throwing out the bun. Gotta go, Foxy says, but your crazy beliefs alienate me. Sorry I missed last Monday. I had to drive to LA. Fuck crunchy peanut butter. Jenny just trying to be, she's just trying to be controversial. She's a provocateur. She doesn't mean it when she says these things. She just wants attention. No one would actually think that. Neither does Tyler. I will fight over my peanut butter. I will do the smooth. You can have your crunchy. Just eat peanuts at that point. Yes. I don't know how you could just say that crunchy as a texture is bad. No one feels that way. Eating dog food was a subject on an old show called Good Times. The neighbor was too poor to buy meat. You think I don't know about Good Times? I thought that show was dynamite. Smooth peanut butter all day. I don't have to work extra. Use cat treats instead. Yes, thank you. Somebody came through for me. I don't know if he has cats, but should I sneak a little Fancy Feast in there? I'll put Fancy Feast and then like a sleeve of saltines to like kind of imply that that's what he's just gonna eat. Falk needed to go. Or could you just tell him to take his shit home? He doesn't care about me. He doesn't listen to me. He has no regard for me whatsoever. So I could say that to him and it wouldn't affect him. He wouldn't even hear me. 2 people left because they had to go to work or walk into a doctor's appointment. No, it was because of me. Or they had to pee. Yeah, well, if people leave because they don't want to hear me, I'm actually 100% in favor of that. I don't want you to feel like if I say anything that you're not happy with, don't stay. Don't ruin your day. If I say something that makes you upset or actually ruffles your feather, don't ruin your day over me. I'm not worth it. Mine shows 6. It's never accurate. Well, I'm in StreamYard. I'm not on YouTube, so I'm honest that I like your rants, Jonathan. Well, that's good. Fuck. If you say what you really mean, we all laugh. Like you laugh at my beliefs? Will you ask us to marry you then, John? You can't scare all of us away. I'm sure they just had stuff to do. I'm outside with my dogs. All right, Carrie. John's an avoidant. Don't give him what he wants. I'm stubborn. I'm not leaving. I am trying to get the show to cancel. Yes. I think my sister is the one who left. We were all going at the same time. Got to get ready for golfing. And this lady lives a life of bowling and golfing, and it's a rough life. I'm on Instagram, Salamander, and I never see you on there. We never communicate that way. Okay. Everyone's just talking to each other, so not much of those 95 things were for me. John is famous for his no-look bowling. I'm also famous for bowling 103. Jonathan, not looking down lane is the proper way to do it. I can only look at the first dots and arrows. Okay. Good for me for knowing that. Amazing. He was something a work boyfriend and accepted married men that bought me treats. Lose weight to protect your knees if nothing else. I just got my knees x-rayed, phase 4 bone spurs from working on your feet plus 30 plus years. It's sobering. I'm sorry. You're probably in pain too. Never had Nutella. Go to the store right now. Salamander, go over to Meijer. Get a jar of Nutella. You can even mix them together. I do butter and the cream cheese on bagels. Boy, that's weird. Butter under the cream cheese? I've never tried that. I should try that. But I can't eat bagels right now. I guess no one then, because I do not like the texture of crunchy. You're not no one because of that. You're just an outlier. John's trying to go for his walk. He's trying to end the show early. I am trying to go for my walk. And you know what I'll probably listen to? This show to see how bad I was. If I left every time I didn't agree, I couldn't listen to anybody. You know what's funny? On Com Center, people will literally leave us comments on videos explaining to us exactly why they're unsubscribing. It was so funny this past weekend because somebody left a comment saying that they're unsubscribing because Drew said he didn't believe Wendy was guilty. He said, I can't believe this channel says that. I'm unsubscribing. And then I always leave like a comment, bye Felicia or adios. But I was also checking our subscriber numbers very closely because the video had just dropped. So you kind of like try to watch in that first hour, 2 hours to see how much the subscribers go up. So I saw it drop down to like 10,379. Well, after I hit the comment replying to him, it had already gone back up to 10,380. So I wanted to leave him a comment. I'm like, well, you left, but you've already been replaced. So you do not matter. Someone else, has to be, I need to start taking screenshots of these because someone else left a comment about our video on Friday night. They keep interrupting the trial with their irritating commentary. So irritating. I'm like, just watch the trial then. That's the whole point of our channel, is that we are doing commentary on the trial. This person who was watching us, who I don't think was from the United States, but they're like, it's so irritating that these two hosts keep interrupting the trial footage. Just go watch the trial. That was the stupidest comment of all time. Drew probably won't want us to do this because we try to maintain a positive atmosphere and we try not to get too mean to the people who leave stupid comments, but there has to be at some point a stupid comment night. Like someone saying that like it's irritating that we're interrupting the trial when it's like we're a commentary channel. Just watch the trial. That had to be the stupidest comment ever left behind. But lots of people leave us comments that they're not watching anymore. So many people have said, I subscribe to your channel for your excellent Donna Adelson coverage, but now that I see that you believe that Karen Read was guilty, I am unsubscribing. Okay, sorry that we don't agree with you at all times. If we force John to stay, he can't listen to his depressing music and be sad. I'll get to the end eventually. You should have an unsub comment show. That might actually be doable because then I could actually just search for unsubscribe or unsub, like do a find on each one, and then I could actually find the comments faster that way. I bet they complain about you and they talk during movies, probably. Another person, this comment was, I probably mentioned it last week, but someone said like, and it was a show that I did by myself, one where I did where Jeffrey Lacasse was, set up as a patsy. Someone said, the host is very articulate, but he looks like he's from the movie Deliverance. My beard and my mustache are very long right now. I was supposed to go get a haircut last week or the week before, but I didn't do it because the Donna Adelson trial was starting, and if something happened, I wanted to be at home to do that. And I realize I've got my redneck hat on right now, so I'm not really making a case for myself. But how shallow are you that you're getting on YouTube and saying, like, this guy is smart. He's articulate. It's too bad he looks like, an inbred Appalachian person. So my reply to him was, I've often said that only looks matter. Kind of disarming, but also calling him out as like an obviously a shallow person. Got no reply to that. Customer is always right. We know that's not true. In terms of taste, the customer is always right. Butter. Some of my coworkers eat dog treats that look like Oreos on April Fool's Day. Because you ebb and flow on Instagram, John, you're around and then you ignore me for weeks. I talk to you every day if that was your vibe. I'd totally be your actual friend. I got real bad news for you, Salamander. I'm on Instagram every single day talking to somebody. We just haven't gotten a conversation started. I don't ebb and flow on Instagram. I'm there all the time. All these memes come from Instagram. The fact that I have a show at which I show you 35 memes shows you that I'm on there every single day looking for memes. So you can talk to me anytime you want. If we force John to stay, he can't leave Dave to do his depressing music. I love how y'all think I shop like a normal person. I'm a minimum of 3 grocery stores a day, and I still don't buy food. I buy a lot from gas stations, which is really bad for me. I think the most people really think that their opinion matters a lot when in reality nobody cares for it that much. Yeah, my opinion doesn't matter at all. I don't know why I'm even here right now. I'm supposed to be giving some kind of bonus content that people that are paying for it. I figured John and Drew will never bend the knee for subs, so I go off. No, I'm not willing to do that. I don't think that Drew is either, just because it's not in his personality. But if Drew ever asked me to be someone that I don't want to be, or some kind of inauthentic version of myself, and sometimes we've kind of gotten close to that, because sometimes like he'll have a suggestion from AI that I'm just not about, and it's just a suggestion. I don't have to do this show. And it's not that I have other better prospects. I certainly don't. Comp Center is definitely the best thing I have going for me, but I could also just retire. I would love to be able to retire from something at age 41, right? I'm a retired podcaster. I'd love to be able to say that. That's why this community is great, because many of us own it are important. Can we have live show BF ranks, silly? I used to rank you guys. Was that still on here? Yeah. By the way, what happened to Melanie? Chase, he was here earlier. I think he left. David J, I haven't seen him for a while. Kara, she's gone. Lauren was here. Mike Dutcher, I haven't seen him in a while. Amy, I haven't seen in a while. Christy's here when she can. Cupcakes and Cameos is here sometimes. Michael Hendricks is here right now. Abby, don't see right now. Mike is a daytime guy now. Foxy was here. Marine's Blood, I haven't seen him a lot lately. I don't know what's up with that. Elijah was here today. Bone Cold I saw on Thursday. D. Mitchell, she was here the other night. April I haven't seen for a while. 99 Problems I don't think was ever really a fan. See, these people here, I think Patty still watches. Necromantic I don't think was ever a fan, really. A lot of these people just got memberships because it was gifted to them. Yeah, Daniel S, Amelia, yeah, Tabitha S. Yeah, Virtual Vixen. Some of these people I don't even know. I should probably re-rank everyone. Will Cray tied for 43rd place. I don't think that's what you meant. Where do we stand? That list was largely accurate. John, I meant non-podcasting friendship. You could talk to me anytime you want. If you want to reach out to me, you certainly can. I will answer you same day, probably within minutes or hours. I can't do Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Only chat on YouTube because of the topics. I haven't ranked beyond 1 and 2, but you can certainly submit an application. I am lurking today while doing things. Jenny, just go to the store and buy some crunchy peanut butter and give it another shot. Do it for me. Where's my rank? That was a rank of you were on there. Maybe you guys were. Well, I'm 23 now. I was in the 40s last time. That was a very, very old ranking. I haven't updated that in probably a year. I could look at that if you want. I'm usually here, but don't comment. Well, you should comment. You make me feel nervous that you're here, but you don't say anything, D. Should I look at that today? Maybe if I have some downtime today, I'll look at that and I'll re-rank everyone. And by the way, the order was just by how early you became a member. So I don't think it will have, the early rankings will not have changed. John, will you be doing the sports show this football season? If so, what podcast show would it be on? No, I don't have any intention of doing it. If we were going to do it, we would already be talking about the Micah Parsons trade for sure. Keith reached out to me last Thursday when that happened and was, he wanted to talk about it. And I've had a few thoughts about it, and I've actually kind of like given it extra thoughts about it, but no. And I guess I'm not really at liberty to say the underlying reasons to that, but the truth is, there's the reasons that I can state are just that I'm tired. I was having to wake up early on Friday to do that show, and that show changed. That changed the day that we were doing that show 9 times. We were doing it on Wednesdays. We were doing it on, I think, Mondays or something. We were doing them on Thursday nights at one point. At one point, we were doing them prior to Comm Center on Thursday nights, and it's just like it was all over the place. And nobody cares. Nobody cared what my sports takes were. And I'm not enough of a football guy, I guess, to talk about it as intelligently as other things. So, Dad, and I'm super depressed about football. I don't think the Cowboys are going to go 6-11 this year. So, I appreciate you saying that, Anthony. But you and Will Curry are probably, and Tyler, are probably the only ones that cared. And when you put so much effort into doing a show, because we did a legal shift for over a year, graphics, theme song, showing up every week, and then when you see that nobody's watching, it just kills you. It really demotivates you. And you realize that everything that you do, people don't appreciate. And it's like, it just filled me with negativity. And I really enjoyed doing it with Keith, but he could tell that I was getting tired of doing it, and I know he wants to do it. I'm not saying, you never say never. Maybe we'll do it again at some point, but I'm a sleepy guy. I need a break. I'm going to send you some of this. Eat the crunchy peanut butter. Still here, just cleaning. I'm still at number. Again, that was the order in which people subscribed. So the number does not change over time. That's a fixed thing. I was trying to log into my Instagram, then a wasp landed on my shoulder. I'm very anti-bee here. You have no idea. You weren't here for that, I think. We used to interrupt Com Center with like bee updates until we realized that was a bad idea. We had a guest on the show once, and we had a guest. Her whole thing that she does hello 911. I'm not sure what all that is, but I entered the show. I did the whole thing. It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends, something bees. And I did that. Then she's just like, what does that have to do with anything? It's just like, well, number one, I can tell you that you've never watched our show before, because I always start the show with some non sequitur. But then if you don't know about the bee references on the show, I can really tell you're not a fan. But we've kind of dialed down on some of the bee references. Like this entire summer, did we even have a single bee reference? About how mankind is at war with bees, and as fall comes on, the bees retreat to their secret watching places to observe mankind and plan their strikes. I don't know. I used to work overnights in the morning show. I miss the show every week. All I will say about Instagram is that you can use that to talk to me. If you are on Instagram and you're not someone that already communicates with me on Instagram for whatever reason, you can do so there. There's my handle. I did enjoy that show. I'm glad you liked it. Maybe it will return. I've talked to Keith about possibly doing other things, just talking about politics, culture, whatever's on my mind, doing a version of this show with him in it, but about like the world instead of memes. And he's all about it, and I think he wants to do it. It's just right now I don't have time for that, right? Maybe I'll do a poll. I'll put a poll up later today. I'll have you guys pick. But it will be a poll that you will not like, because it is a poll in which you will have to eliminate a show. I showed up almost every time. Damn it, John. What am I, chopped liver? You were there almost every time. Maybe when you start making the fat bank off of Com Center, you'll do the sports show again. How will money give me more time? If I understood sports on the level you spoke about it, it'd be easier, or if you explained such things, but that wasn't on brand for the show. Well, we didn't talk about sports at such a detailed level that you needed to know those things. I didn't think. I'm still waiting for the Com Center to tell me about my weekend. So all that, what it means for your weekend is usually what someone does, like in the first 60 seconds of a 11 p.m. news broadcast or 10 p.m. news broadcast. They'll say, tonight, shooter in downtown Minneapolis. Did he leave a note? Police will be there. And our own Andrea, Roberts is from the scene. And then, then we'll go over to Bruce Rader with sports. So we've got, Hurricane Katrina's approaching. It looks like we'll go over our 3 and 5 day projections. All that and what it means for your weekend on Wavy News 10, and then dun 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 dun, and then they do the little intro or whatever. But they would say what the weather means for your weekend. Like, is it going to be good weather for your weekend? Are you going to be able to go outside and enjoy yourself on the weekend? But actually, it's funny you say that, because all that and what it means for your weekend actually started as a bee thing. The show used to have a 60-second or 2-minute countdown to start. Way, way back in the day. Like, we would all just sit there for 2 minutes and just watch. Why, I don't know. That was something we inherited from Failure to Stop. I don't know why we sat there for 2 minutes and just watched numbers count down. But one time, as a joke, the countdown was going, and I said, shocking new bee alert. And then I showed this footage of like this police officer swatting at bees, like a Los Angeles Reserve police officer swarmed by bees. And, you see him like rolling down on the ground and they're attacking him. Like, is this a new opening salvo? And the bees war on mankind, all that, and what it means for your weekend tonight on the Comm Center. And that line Drew thought it was so funny that it said all that and what it means for your weekend. Like, the idea that the bees are coming to kill mankind, what that means for your weekend. We liked that so much that it got carried forward. And when Drew was doing the intros, we realized that in order to hook people to watch the show, it can't start with a countdown. It can't start with a theme song either, because for a while there after the countdown, we just started the show with music and the intro. And like, well, people don't know what the show is. They're not going to care about an intro. So there has to be a little thing where we explain what the show is. And now I do that. Drew used to do it. But, it zooms out on me, and then I say, it's the Donna Adelson trial. And then, I talk about what the episode's going to be about, and I put up little clips. So then the first 15 seconds, you know what you're going to get. And I try to put in a little hook in there, and we're like, and you'll never believe what Wendy Adelson said to destroy her old family. And then between the hook, between whatever it is, the strongest last thing you're going to say, you need a segue between that and then mentioning the name of the show. So what am I going to say? You'll never believe what Wendy Adelson said that destroyed her own family. That's what we're talking about tonight on the Comm Center. All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center just kind of flows a little bit more normally. It doesn't, and it's a little bit funny. You're like, what do you mean all that and what it means for my weekend? What does the Adelson trial have to do with my weekend? Now you know the origin of that, in case anyone cared or wondered. Can't figure out my password. I'm still here showering, and it's hard to type with wet fingers. Thank you for bringing us into the shower with you. I have a nest, John, with babies. I can't kill them till the babies hatch. Of bees? Ooh, I would shoot that with a gun. I love you and Kiefer together. Yeah, we have a good time podcasting together. Don't pressure Johnny. It's a lot on his plate. I will put up a poll in which you will have to select me doing a legal shift, but then which other show are you canceling? I hope you have to live for your children. I want to talk about random old movies. Just happened to watch last night. Like last night, I watched A Place in the Sun. Place in the Sun with Cliff Montgomery and Elizabeth Taylor. I watched Batman Begins on Saturday night. Does that count? You and I have to be the producer, and you'll hire a producer if you could just trust them to do what you want correctly. We had a producer, and he left for a good reason. But then when I realized what he was doing, I realized that I wanted to do it differently. And then when I finally got what I wanted out of the post-production, I'm just going to do it because I don't trust anyone else to do it the way that I want it done. So I'm probably locked in forever. And I'm the producer of another show that you guys don't know about. It has nothing to do with Failure to Stop or the First Responder World. I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm a producer of a jiu-jitsu podcast now. And that show's simple enough, but the person who does that show doesn't have a lot of demands. It's just like, let's do a, zoom in slow on this person talking, and then do the theme music, and then show this at the bottom, a bottom third title, and then that's really it. On my show on Com Center, you could see that all of our graphics are themed, that like there's stripes, there's gold lines, sliding in and sliding out, and that there's a certain typeface that I use, and there's a way that I do things, and probably not going to change that. I want it to be different. We'll watch a screen of an intro for an hour. You would really do that? I mean, that's nice. Make sure you, by the way, hit like and keep up with the Com Center. I guess I appreciate that you would actually do that.
City council members have announced their plan to disband the Minneapolis Police Department.
We're calling for defunding the police.
Shootings in New York City have more than doubled this year.
It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends. I only keep the last 10 seconds of that. It's a great intro, but there's no reason to sit there and wait for all that when you want to watch a show. So we keep the last 10 seconds of that, I think, to show the audience that not only is it a good segue between the intro, but to show the audience that we are a high production show. I'm not trying to put down Failure to Stop or whatever, but like when you watched Mike and Eric and they had that 2-minute countdown, and then like there was no other intro really of any kind, it was a very low production show. And it's not bad. It was still a good show, but we're trying to show people that when you watch this, you're going to be seeing something that's a high production value. So that's why we do that. Also, I really like the theme. I jam out to the music every single time. John, the 2-minute countdown is probably something Tansy got from from Drinking Bros. They get that so people would have time to get there and get the alert after the show is starting. I know the technical reason for it, but we have a different model. We're not a show that's trying to, we don't go live a lot. And when we did go live, we would usually have like 13 people watching. So and that's work now, because on the replay, people don't want to scrub through that 2 minutes. So now when the show's over, the live show's over, you would have to like delete that, which you can do, but it takes YouTube, like for a show of our size, it doesn't give us priority access to editing tools. So it would take like 2 or 3 hours to make that happen, during which time you're chasing new people away with like, well, I don't want to watch some kind of countdown. So the countdown doesn't work for us. John is the narrator, and that's the best part. Oh, you mean when I do the beginning part? I think I have one of those too. The one that I've been using for the Donna Adelson trial.
Did you ever outright ask her whether she did what she's accused of?
I did.
And what did she say to that?
She said she did. It was to keep her grandkids, but it wasn't supposed to go that far.
Judge, with that, the state rests.
It's the Donna Adelson trial. Dan Markel, the father of Benjamin and Lincoln, was murdered 11 years ago. It's all led to this. Donna Adelson is charged with first-degree murder. If convicted, she faces life in prison without parole. We'll use our law enforcement experience to comment on the case as friends, family, and the people seek justice for Dan Markel. All that and what it means for your weekend on the Com Center. Yeah, see, like that's very, very dramatic. I think people like that. I especially like the part where she's been charged with first-degree murder. If convicted, she faces life in prison without parole. Like it's very dramatic. You can if you set it on fire text this time. Yep, do that with the bees for sure. I think I went back too far in the chats. Killer bees are still on their way from Africa, you know. Yeah. All bees, all species of bee are invasive, by the way, if you didn't know that. I made up my own morning radio show with my friend, and I was podcasting more. It was lots of fun. We did a buy, sell, or trade segment. People called in with things like one glove. What? Can you send me your show? We should review it here. We should do a retrospective on Tally Who's show. Would you be willing to send that to me? Do you talk on the show? No, I do not. What the hell do I know about jiu-jitsu? I don't even believe in jiu-jitsu. The other day I had a meeting with the guy, and he like recommended it to me too, because he's always selling jiu-jitsu, which is fine. It's his passion. But he's just like, you know, it's really, you know, and the thing about it is that, you know, a lot of people think it's karate, but jiu-jitsu really works. And I'm like, what do you mean it really works? And I didn't say this to him. This is all playing in my head. But jiu-jitsu really works to what? Now, like if you're a police officer and you're trying to apprehend somebody and they're fighting you, that's great. Because like I could understand you're going to get them into a submission hold where they can't get away from you. Or if they're on top of you and beating the shit out of you, you can get out of that. All right. I'm not trying to apprehend anybody. For me, if I'm physically fighting someone and we're face-to-face fighting, fight's already over. In my experience, from the fights that I've seen in prison, whoever starts the fight usually wins. Usually only takes about 30 seconds. It usually starts because someone gets caught off guard, gets caught by surprise. But how do you grapple with someone and roll around on the floor when you're carrying a gun? Because for me, if I'm actually having a real fight with someone, like if I'm actually going to be in a physical contest where I need to dominate someone with my violence for my safety, it's going to be with a gun. So I'm not going to be rolling around on the floor like, ow, I just rolled over my gun that's on my hip. I'm not going to be doing that. If someone's posing some sort of risk or threat to my safety, I'm not going to be like thinking about how I should, you know, get in the proper panther stance first or whatever, or do some sort of side control, you know, rear naked choke. I'm going to be holding them at gunpoint. And then if I have to, I'm just going to blow them away, like to defend myself. Here's the thing about him is that he lives in Florida. And I think there's maybe more situations there where jiu-jitsu might come in handy for self-defense. But here, you know, I live in a town of 800 white guys. We have no crime at all, really, to speak of. I can't remember the last time someone in the city I live in was arrested on a felony. Couldn't tell you. But every other single person here also has a gun. So they're not going to roll around with me either. So even if I was the one picking the fight, jiu-jitsu wouldn't do me any good because everybody here is armed. Everyone here is strapped. So what's the point about learning jiu-jitsu if everyone here has a gun? You don't need a permit to carry in this state. You can carry a gun in a holster openly if you want. You know, it's one thing if it's exercise and it's your passion, but don't try to sell it to me as something that's going to help me in self-defense. Because like if I'm out somewhere and it's dangerous, if I'm going somewhere dangerous, I'm going to take a gun. And if I'm in my home, then if they're breaking into my house, then I guess, yeah, if they break into the house and I don't have my gun like at the ready and like then they're beating the tar out of me, I guess at that point I wish I had known Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but okay. I just don't think so. Comm Center is designed, yes. It's Carrie locked, Salamander. Am I allowed to be your friend on there as well? Am I allowed to look you up? Drew texted me while I was live. That's usually a bad sign. He usually wants me to shut up about something or something. Or he's just sending me helpful tips. Carrie locked? I'm bad at typing this morning. I'm gonna send you a friend request. I don't know if this is the right person or not. Here you go. You can ignore that if you don't want to be my friend. I probably won't think about it again. If you ignore me. It's like Inception. I almost kicked a wasp nest last night. It's the one on my shoulder, either already injured or injured, about to make it a hospital. The one on my shoulder was either already injured or I injured it. Well, I'm missing out on the conversation because I'm not sure what you're talking about. All right. You guys are talking about a wasp nest. Jonathan, I think the oh my. I have got to keep up in these chats. You guys just make me feel like I have Alzheimer's because now I'm talking to 10 people and I don't have any idea what any of them are talking about. Only innocenter person they covered is Karen Reed. The only innocent person that we covered. I guess the court ruled her. The jury said that she was innocent. I guess. I think the only place I don't like your voice is on Fox opening credit. Oh man, I forgot that I was on that. I should replace that with AI. What do you think? There's no reason for me to be doing that. Yeah, I just made that because I thought it would be good. I could replace that. Am I getting a phone call or something? No one call me, please. Let's end the show. It's almost at 2 hours. A special Labor Day double show. I'm not wrestling. I'm just going to shoot your ass. See, that's exactly how I feel. Like I'm not going to grapple with anyone. Like I'm 41. I'm out of shape. I was never much of a guy who was. And here's the thing too, like for practice, if you're going to do this for exercise or whatever, I don't want to touch people. I actually have a really, really strong sense of personal space. And I'm actually really grossed out by most other human beings. So I don't want to touch somebody. So the idea of me rolling around on a mat with another dude, not going to happen. Like I might consider boxing, but that's about it. So Ollie the Rear Naked Chokers perform whilst clothed. Imagine my embarrassment. You know what's funny is that on this podcast they talk about this all the time, whether or not whether or not you're gi or no gi. I guess like sometimes you do jiu-jitsu wearing a gi, like the little robe thing. But if you're not wearing it, what are you wearing? You know, just gym clothes. I don't want to be wrestling around with a sweaty guy. I'm not about that. Sorry. And they'll talk about how sometimes it's gross. They're like, oh yeah, sometimes guys don't wash their gi and sometimes guys don't cut their toenails. And it's just like, gross. I don't want to, like, first of all, I don't ever take my socks off, so you would never see my toenails. I'm not rolling around on the floor barefoot. I'm not doing that. And I'm guessing that, you know, having your feet bare is part of the way in which you maintain a grip on the mat or something. Here's the thing. If Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is about working in real life, why aren't you wearing shoes? If you get caught off guard and someone's wrestling with you and you don't have shoes on, you deserve to lose. I wear shoes most of the time. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Fox News hasn't had a cease and desist order. How they haven't yet. Well, it's probably because he spells it every single time. FAWKES News. If you have to spell your brand, is that really a good idea? I don't know. I think it's fine, but I'm a free market kind of guy. Is it weird to put cute kitty stickers on my rent envelope that gets dropped off and not through the mail? Yes, it's fine. That reminds me, I need to drop off my check for the milk delivery today. And I also need to get it ready for the milk delivery today. I tried grappling, but they kept pairing me with the teenage girls, wouldn't let me roll with the guys. That's too bad. But the guys don't want to get whipped by you, and the guys also don't want to be seen beating up on you. It's a no-win scenario for you to be rolling with men. Greco wrestling was traditionally done nude. I know. I'm not a Greek or a Roman, though. I'm an American by like 14 generations. Same, John. Only one at a time. I want to be rolling around with a sweaty dude, and he better not be a stranger. All right. I am barefoot most of the time. I know. I wear my shoes. So trademark infringement is based on phonetics and not spelling. Well, what is he supposed to do? That Guy Fawkes's name sounds exactly like Fox, the broadcasting company. Tell it to Guy Fawkes. He should really just say Guy Fawkes News, right? It's his deal. He could do whatever he wants to do. But yeah, when I haven't listened to one of those in a while, probably since the last one that I did, but I'm like, Fox News, the number one source for the news you care about. I wanted to make it Fox News, exposing the obvious, but I think that Eric would realize that I was teasing him if I did that. Yeah, but Eric's whole thing, and I agree with him, like, just do what you're going to do until they send you the cease and desist letter. Like, why are you going to live in fear that somebody is going to care about what you're doing? I play copyrighted music at the beginning of the show. Hopefully they get some money out of it, whatever. I work from home and I don't go out much. Yeah. This is what you guys are going to get for sticking around for over 2 hours. Ow. Got my socks on right now. You guys probably didn't care to see that. There you go. But we'll go ahead and end the show, I guess. Oh, that's his foot. Wouldn't have guessed that John had feet. The other day when he was telling me, when he was recommending that I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a tenth of a second, I said, I got to tell him that I'm paraplegic. I'd like kind of do this motion like I'm in a wheelchair to make him feel bad. Probably bad. That's not shoes, Jonathan. No, it's socks. But just for you, I'm going to go put on shoes. All right, man, a lot of you guys shower late in the day. No free feet pics. Nobody cares about my feet. My feet are disgusting. I'm the kind of guy where my feet would destroy foot fetishes. Someone with a foot fetish would see my feet and they would be cured. They would no longer be aroused by that. Donna Adelson's trial resumes tomorrow. We'll be watching that. Do you think that they're going to be able to make it stretch all the way out till Friday? I'm kind of worried that because the prosecution went 5 full days, that because of the holiday that it will go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then break for the weekend, and then closing arguments will be on the following Tuesday. I want them to have closing arguments and a verdict on Friday, because I can go live anytime to respond to that. I don't want them to do it on a Tuesday. I'm kind of hoping that the defense doesn't have as much of a case to make and that they just throw in the towel earlier. They would be wise not to wear out the jury. The jury is just going to be getting sick of them. Can we get on with that and send your client to jail? Happy Labor Day, everyone. Just as a reminder, when you labor, you're converting your life, the hours and minutes and years of your life that you have on this earth, you're converting it through work, through your labor, into cash. So you're converting the time that God gave you on earth into cash, and the government's stealing some of that from you. All right, everybody. Defense's case would be like, no, I know you are, but what am I? I actually have, my feet are 12 wide. That's what kind of shoe size I wear. I'm done, guys. I'm going to go for my walk. It's been 2 hours. Thank you for watching this ridiculous long episode of the show. I will see you back here next week Hope you all have a restful day off. I forgot to ask, what are your Labor Day traditions? Those of you that don't have to work today, there's Memorial Day traditions, going to a barbecue and stuff. Do any of you have Labor Day traditions? Guess I'll give you a few minutes to leave your Labor Day traditions. Jonathan, assuming I pay taxes. I bet you pay federal income tax. Any Labor Day traditions? Labor Day from Canada. My husband is making burgers. Bye, everyone. Bye. This is my new Labor Day tradition. My tradition is working. Mine too. I should have said this at the top of the show if I hadn't already. I've been working since I was 18. I didn't get a job before that because I was a lazy kid. But at Target, I obviously worked every Labor Day. At Shopko, which is a retail store like Target, I obviously worked on Labor Day. And then I went to work at the prison. I obviously worked on Labor Day. The prison didn't close on Labor Day. Then I went to work at 911. I obviously work on Labor Day. I have never, ever, ever had a Labor Day off. I've been working for 23 years without a Labor Day off. So all of you enjoy it, I guess. That's a good tradition. That sounds very reasonable. All right. Good night, everybody. No more traditions. Listening to John while I'm in the nude. All right. I like how all the men are like, we listen to you naked. I'm going to try to think of it as Greco-Roman. All right, guys. Have a good one. Please keep up with the Comm Center. Tell your friends, tell your family. Thank you to all of you. I just wanted to mention Texas Time, a new fan. Thank you for joining me and being a part of the show. Anthony P., apparently someone who's been watching me for a very long time, but I never knew you were out there. You liked Illegal Shift and you liked my true crime show, and I never knew you were there. So thanks for watching me all these years, I guess, and to other people, Silamander, Falksy, Tyler, all these people who watch me consistently throughout the years. Thank you for your ongoing support. You make me feel good. I always wanted a podcast, actually, even before I met Eric. Just because I'm a bit of a talker. And I like to tell stories, and I like to be funny. But I wouldn't have had an audience if it wasn't for him, and I wouldn't have an audience if it wasn't for you. So thanks so much for everything that you guys are doing to make this fun for me. I appreciate you. And for that reason alone, I'll probably never retire, despite what I say. Have a good week, everybody.